Bears Shed. Well, what's been going on the last week? Well, not a great deal actually. Been a bit of a lazy bastard, but I haven't really. I've been out mowing the lawn and not much shed work though. I made a couple of those pins last week and I was going to do that again this weekend, but I went to the steel place, our alloy and stainless metals in Bundy here, and I said, oh, can you give us a few metres of 3/4 bright steel just to make those pins for the Fordson, the back of the Fordson front axles. And they said, yeah, no worries, and they just cut a bit of stuff, and they had 3 metres there. And I said, oh, cut that in half for me so I can chuck it in the front of my ute and I'll take it. So I just grabbed it and off I goes, took it home here and picked up an old pin, and I picked up the pin and I looked, you know, something doesn't feel right with your fingers, so I thought I'd better mic this up, this doesn't look real flash. So what they'd done is someone had put 20mm in the 3/4 little pigeonhole where they have the steel, so I ended up bringing home some 20mm. So I rang them up and said, look, we got this 20mm by mistake, I'll keep it, you know, just for stock around here, but would you have a bit of 3/4 there, you know, because I said it was the last piece in the rack, and yeah, the fella just thought it was 20mm, and I didn't bother to check, I just took it home, and anyway, I said, oh no, I haven't got any 20mm here, oh sorry, haven't got any 3/4, here we'll have to order some in. So this was last Tuesday, and I said, oh, any chance of getting it in by the weekend so I can make these pins I'd like to do, and they said, oh well, it shouldn't be a worry. But anyway, Friday afternoon, they said it still hadn't turned up, so I've still got the mill set up for doing those pins, but I just haven't got the product to make them yet. But the mill's looking a bit dungaree over there. A lot of grinding dust around here at the moment. This here is the bonnet off my John Deere 420 tractor. Now, quite a few months ago, I did in the Kangaroo Stews. I did quite a lot on the 420 John Deere 420 tractor, and I had the front grille all painted up, if you remember. Oh, not painted up, I had it all primed and ready for a final sand and a top coat, and my dad come along for a chat and put his hand in it, and anyway, I put too much. I thought I'd try and blow over it with a bit of primer and give me some thickness to sand the next day, but it was just, then it went crazy, cracked. I put too much on. I should have just waited. But so anyway, I've sandblasted the whole front grille. I've put it in the bead blaster and cleaned all the paint off. We're right back to bare metal, and actually there's a couple of little repairs. I did 13 repairs on it, and at the time, yeah, it would have come up all right. But I'm looking at it now and I can see a couple of little imperfections. So we'll have a bit of a play with them before we commit to doing it. But after that, after doing that bit, the bonnet here had this isn't the exact piece, but it had a big hole cut in it, where at some time in the tractor's life it had broken an exhaust and inlet manifold, and the manifold has the exhaust up the top and the inlet coming down the bottom, so it's only one manifold. It's an updraft carburetor with a exhaust going out vertically at the top, and someone had made a homemade one in its life sometime, and it's a 1957 model, so it's had a fair while for people to fiddle with it. And but anyway, to fit their homemade manifold through the bonnet, they just cut a big hole in here with the oxy, and yeah, it was just bloody terrible. You'd wonder why someone would do that. But anyway, I suppose they had to get the job done, so we can't go crooked them too much. But in doing that, there's this piece here is actually a piece of heat shield that sits inside the side here against this, so that the heat from the exhaust system doesn't bugger up your paint job. And so it had all rusted out too, so I've been buggering about making little bits and pieces for it. So this will sit up inside inside there, and that'll give the air gap between the exhaust and the outside paint. And this piece here, well, it started going rusty up towards the top there, and so I've been mad with it. Not madly, just mad because I don't know what I'm doing. I've been trying to make up a section to go inside there, and this is the first one I tried, and that's putting it in the folder and just nip it, you know, 10 or a dozen times until I get a curve. So that one hasn't worked out as I liked it, but this one with the well, this one I've got to put a hole here yet for the exhaust, and the hole has to come in around there somewhere. But this one's come up better. I spent a lot of time fiddling on this, and that looks like that will go okay. I'll have to do a few more measurements, but the first thing now is to get a hole cut in there so I can have a hole for the exhaust for one thing, and then I can clamp this piece across. And originally I was going to cut this to size and just have it fit in there, but this angle here is pretty damn close, but it's just not 100% perfect, and if I did that, I'm not sure, sitting on the tractor looking down the line of the bonnet, that it would be perfect. I'm not sure I could get it perfect. So what I've decided to do is put a patch panel in like that, and I'll weld this in and grind it back, and that'll give me a little bit of room for, it'll be about 2 mils. It won't even be that. It'll be about 1.2 mils of filler, and I think that will be the go. And then where that sits inside the tractor, on the bonnet, I always have shit everywhere doing these jobs, just a messy job. And then this piece here, that's your heat shield, and that'll come down the bottom. There's another rusty corner here where it rusted out too. But apart from that, it's not too bad. There's a patch to do here. I think there's a couple of patches. Oh, there's another patch has to happen down here, and it's split there from the vibration, so we'll weld that up. But yeah, look, we'll get there. The reason I stopped working on it originally was after Dad, the old fella put his hand in it, and I remember thinking, shit. But anyway, I didn't say anything to him. I just, yeah, you don't. you just let it pass. But after that, I thought, oh, bugger it, and then one of our tenants, the bloke that bought our business office, he's moved on. He paid the money he owed us out for the business, and that released him from the lease on our shed, and he's moved on. So then for weeks and weeks I've had the shift the shed saga, and part of the shift the shed saga, if you remember back, was having to bring stuff from that shed, dozer parts I had there and things like that, back into Bundy Bears Shed here, and part of that was putting up all this pallet racking around the place. So it's been quite some time, and I've done a couple other little fiddle jobs. I felt like a bit of machining the other day, so I did that too. And but anyway, the wheel turns, and I've been walking past this bonnet for bloody months now, looking at it and walking around it, dodging it really, because I was thinking, God, that's going to be a prick to make that patch. And but anyway, the time's come, but to do it, so we'll chug along with this. There might not be a lot of video of this, I don't believe. What I'll do is I'll probably just take a little bit as I finish off each. Like as I get the hole and get that tacked in, I might take a quick film of that or something like that. But so that'll keep me busy for a while. I've got the bench grinder bolted down to the end of the bench finally. I didn't do that for a while. I was a bit unsure where I wanted it, but that's where I kept going for it. So I thought, well, that's it, go with it. And Well, the only thing I've bought for Bundy Bears Shed this week was a couple of carbide burrs, and I have a couple, and part of having a workshop, or having a tractor workshop and having many people work for you, and I let people come into my shed and, in Bundy Bears Shed here and do a bit, if help me out and do a few jobs. But part of doing that is your gear gets knocked around a lot, and it's just part of the course. And so a lot of my carbide burrs have been gapped and dropped and bloody, Christ knows what. so I bought a couple of little burrs, and BOC gases are next door to where our workshop, where our Queensland Tractor Spares is, and so I wandered next door the other day to have a talk about gas, because with the G-size bottle of MIG gas over the back here, you can just see the corner of it there, and the oxy. To have two bottles in Bundy Bears Shed here, the rent is about $215 a year per bottle, and I'm an occasional user. I do a bit of welding. The oxy set I haven't used in quite some time, but I do have a bit coming up for it. But I got the bill for the gas rent, and so it's about $450 a year for two bottles in the shed, whether I use them or not. So and that's through Liquid Air Liquid, I think they call themselves now. So I was sort of thinking, as an occasional user, it's something I want in my shop, but to sit here and pay about $8 a week just for gas, I thought, that's not real flash. And I had the missus saying, do we need these bottles? And I thought, of course we do. That's their job, keep us honest, us blokes. And so I went next door to BOC Gases and just asked them about their gas, and their gas is something similar. So, but the salesman there said, we're looking at it, but he said we don't have the option to buy a bottle, because Air Liquid, they said to me that if I wanted to buy a bottle, I could buy my own bottle for $450 per bottle, and then $453 or something per bottle, and then owning the bottle, as I returned it each time, I don't have to pay for the gas. But I thought about that, and I thought, $450 a bottle, you got to fork out $900 straight up. And anyway, that didn't sit well with me. I thought, up that, and it just seemed a lot of money to fork out straight up. So, but when I was at BOC, I said, it was oxygen. I heard Bunnings had it, and he said, Bunnings have got an exchange thing, but it'll be dearer for your gas in the long run. So I hadn't looked into that. So I went online to have a look at Bunnings, and what Bunnings offer now is only the little D-size bottles. Well, if you're a beer drinking man, a D-size bottle, it's like having a little 5-ounce glass, or it's like drinking your beer from a nip glass. If you're used to drinking a schooner, then you have to drop down to that. You think, oh Christ, but it's not so silly. What Bunnings is offering at the moment, and they've got oxygen, acetylene, argon, and MIG gas. And so they have the little bottles, and what you do, you just pay a deposit on the bottle, and you pay $100 for the gas, and when you take that bottle back, you get your deposit back, your bottle deposit. So if you're a part-time user of a MIG welder, which many people are, especially hobby shops, hobby enthusiasts, if you're an occasional user of those sort of things, well, I think that would be the go. I don't run oxyacetylene, I run oxy LP gas, and the LP gas I just use little 9 kilo swap bottles, and for heating bearings and silver soldering and all that stuff, you wouldn't know the difference. I think it's good. And the reason I did that years ago was that it was one less bottle to rent. So we just used the swap and go bottles that you find at service stations or at Bunnings or wherever. And the benefit of that is being a small bottle. If I do run out, I just go to the caravan and grab one off and continue on, and put the new one on the caravan for when we go away for the hot water and everything in the fridge, and away we go. Pardon me. And so what I'm thinking of doing is when these bottles run out of gas, it's silly just to chuck them out or just to send them back with 3/4 full of gas. But I believe what I'll do is I'll get 2 mid-gas bottles, and I'll get 2 oxygen. So if I run out on the weekend, I haven't got to lock the shed, tie the dogs up, head to town. We're only, well, Bunnings is what, 6 k's away or 7 k's away. So it's not a long way, but it's just by the time you pack up and get going and go and get something and come back, you lose the momentum on the job and you lose your mindset where you were. So that's just a thought. We're thinking of swinging across to the Bunnings bottles, and that way that rent bill has gone. So I'm not sure if you all were aware of that, but I found it interesting to go through the process and have a look. And if you'd like to just have the bottle for a month or two, fix a trailer for someone or do whatever floats your boat. Well, that gives you an option. You can go and pay a core deposit on the bottle and get that back. I haven't been in as yet to find out what the core deposit is on the bottles, but that'll be coming up. We'll do that. And we'll just. I think you can spend money better than just paying rent on the bloody bottle anyway. So anyway, we're going to have a look at that. And another thing in the stew this week is I sold a fella some engines a while ago, some 3-horse, a 3-horse vertical famous engine, a 2-horse vertical famous, and a 3-horse non-Pirel. So anyway, he paid for them months ago, and Benny's his name, and he paid for them months and months ago, and he come up on Saturday and picked them up. So he told me he was coming. He travelled a long way to come here, and he said, is it okay if I come up Saturday morning? So I said, yeah, no worries. So I said, I'll make sure I've run them up and make sure everything's right. So Saturday morning I gave them all a run and primed the water pumps and made sure everything was smick. And I've got a little video of that. I'll pop a clip of that in. And sorry, only a short clip, but they're lovely engines. I've had fun with them over the years, and even though it's sad to see something go sometimes that you've put a lot of work into and you've taken to a lot of shows, it's good where it's going. It's a historic village, and it's at Pimpamar on the Gold Coast. So there's a Pimpamar historic village on the Gold Coast. It's shed number 1, Benny Polaris, and it's a Polaris collection he calls it, I believe now. And he showed me some photos of what's in his shed there and the display shed. It's quite impressive. He got some gear. So but anyway, he watches my YouTube channel sometimes, he said. So g'day Benny. And it was a good deal. We're both grinning at the end of the deal, so that's a good deal. And if you're both happy, and he was going to run the engines yesterday. They have an open day, open to the public every second Sunday of the month. So every second Sunday, if you feel like it, go and have a look. He's invited Judy and myself down into his shed, and he said we can come down there and stay. They have showers and toilets there for us, and I said, we sleep in the ute. So we may just do that. I'll contact him, and we may just go down there for a Sunday in a couple of months' time, and have a bit of a look. And that's the atmosphere I like, all the old machinery and things like that. So if they have a big show or something, we might take a tractor down, but we'll just see what happens there. But yeah, I've got some more of those engines there. They're not the last ones in captivity. I've got some more. The 3-horse famous, I have 2 more of those unrestored over under the pallet rack in there now, and the 3-horse non-Pirel. We have 2 more of them. One's only a parts one, one's a dunger, and a seized solid, but the other one's sort of partially restored. And then I've also got a 2-horsepower non-Pirel, which it's a vertical famous engine. Google it if you want to see what one it is. You go for Google Images or something like that, And this one, it's a 2-horse vertical famous non-Pirelli, made in 1909, and it's the 9th one ever made, which is that part always amazes me. That the 9th engine ever made ended up in Australia, west of Bundaberg, up around Mount Perry, on a dairy farm. So, yeah, the 9th one, you'd think, well, in my way of thinking, the first 50 engines or something like that, you'd think the Americans, International Harvester, would keep them around the area and do a bit of testing and bugger them around. But anyway, they didn't. They said, right, let's get this shit out of here. And bloody chucked her on the boat and pissed it off over to Australia. And I believe there was probably a load. But I mean, I believe there was probably quite a load of them, because I've had 3 non-Pirelli engines, and I know of another one, and mine's 1909. That's the earliest one I know of, but they must have sent a shipload over in 1911, because every other engine I've ever come across in our area is 1911. Now, they would have had to come by ship and probably come into the port of Brisbane or the port of Sydney back then, but yeah, they must have got a few around. There must have been a good McCormick Deering or International Harvester dealer in the area to get the engines in here. But anyway, just something of interest. I'll put a little clip of that in there, and yeah, that might just yeah, fill the gap. So anyway, look, stay tuned. I'll take I've got a bit of a dry throat from this grinding. Oh, this thing here, that's a piece of copper, and I've just dressed it up, tidied it up again, and I've had this for years, and I've used it as a punch, and I got it from a scrappy, and someone's drilled some, they must have had it under something to drill into one time, and it's got a few holes, but that doesn't matter. And the idea of this, I've got a sharp edge on this corner here, and a radius edge here and a radius edge there. And the idea is, if I want to weld a patch in or something like that, I can pop that in there and weld along, and it gets a bit grubby over time, but it's a backing to weld onto. The weld won't stick to a piece of copper, and if I wasn't doing a patch and I was just having a little gap here to weld up, well, that's what the copper's for, to put in behind there. So anyway, over the next week or two, I'm hoping to get this bonnet finished, sanded back, primed. The only bit of filler will be through here. There might be a little bit on these patches too, just to, I'll grind them low and just put a little bit there, but most times I can get my panels done without filler, or I don't say I don't use it, but I use it as little as possible anyway. There's a place for it for sure. They wouldn't make it if you weren't supposed to use it. Pardon me, but look, that'll do for the moment. Stay tuned. Oh, we've got a new little jingle at the end of our Kangaroo Stews. I just sort of knocked that together. I think I can probably do that a bit better yet, but anyway, we'll work on that as time allows. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll try and put a bit of content in that's worth watching. Well, these are engines I've done up. The blue one on the left, it's a 1911 International famous non-Pirelli. The one in the middle, it's a 2 horsepower International famous, about 1914, and the one on the right, it's a 3 horsepower. And we're just giving them the last run here this morning. I sold them to a gentleman that's going to put them into a historical village, and yeah, a lot of work went into them. I've had some fun. I've taken them to shows and been around, and yeah, they've done me well. I've got more in the shed to do up when I get the urge again, when I stop playing. So there you go, last run. Well, last week we had a request for a little bit of a look at the Macson lathe that I have in the shed here, and it's a big old lathe. It's I've got shit sitting on the end of the bed of it there, but the bed's about 12 foot long. It's a number 5 taper, I believe, in the tailstock, and with the bed out of it, it has a gap bed, and with the bed out of it, we can swing a 28-inch Massey Ferguson tractor rib. It's quite a big lathe. It came from the Bingra sugar mill. It was owned by Bundy Bears Sugar, and I've run a few numbers, and I think we found a bit of paper with the lathe that said it was a 1953 model Macson's. And in Australia, Macson's was McPherson's was the name of the company, and they were an industrial supply company, and they made lathes, and every big hunk of gear in Australia probably had Macson on it, as for lathes and things like that. But this is an old type with a round gearbox, but we'll just go up the other end and give you a bit of a look at the controls. Now this is the business end, and you can see there that the slowest speed it does is 8 revs per minute, and I believe the fastest is 315 revs per minute. It has all the threading attachments and everything on it. How many speeds does it have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 speeds, and down the bottom there we have a quick change box for threading and things like that. But it's an old flatbed style lathe, and it is quite worn, but yeah, everything's heavy duty on it. And when I first got it, down through here this lead screw was buggered. It had a real worn spot in the middle and it was terrible to use, so I had a friend that's a machinist, and I didn't have a lathe at the time because this was my lathe, the only lathe I had, and so he made us a new lead screw for it. But it's got the old type set up. The 4-jaw chuck, well, it's a bit dicky. Yeah, look, it does things all right. There's a bit of slop in the jaws, but anyway, if you know how to set it up and take your time, you can still get it nice. Under the lathe there we have another 4-jaw chuck and a face plate, and I don't think that 4-jaw chuck's any better than the one we have, but anyway, it's good to have. But the machining I did the other day for the Ferguson rear axle seal puller plate, that's the first machining I've done on this in probably 12 months. I have put flywheels in there for people, and probably before that, the half a dozen jobs before the one the other day was all putting flywheels in and resurfacing flywheels on tractors for people where the flywheel grinders couldn't get in because of the steps and things like that. So we'll go around the back. So that's all the electrics. We had to get that all redone once we bought the lathe, and yeah, we've got new relays and things in there. It's a 10 horsepower 3-phase motor, and I've got stuff sitting up the back. It's something I don't use often. I probably shouldn't have stuff on it, but oh well. I'll just come around here and I'll try and give you a bit better view of everything if I can. I've got a lot of stuff around it because I don't use it much. I've got a lot of stuff around it. Like this bit you can see here's the front of the folder. But it was a great lathe, and to tell you the truth, I paid $500 for it, and it was going to scrap metal. And one of the fellas working there at the Bundy Bears Sugar, he went and asked management could he have it, and they said, well, yeah, I suppose, as long as you're keeping it and you're not going to sell it and make profit and all that sort of thing. And he said, yeah, okay. Next thing, unbeknown to me, he come and saw me and said, would you be interested in this big old lathe? So I went and had a look, and I said, yeah, I'd love that old thing. How much? And he says, $500. He says, that's what it's costing me. And I said, oh shit, yeah, I'll be in that. And anyway, by the time I got it lifted here, and I had a truckie, one of the crane blokes in town brought it in for me, and he lifted it out in the paddock all right, but then he reckoned he couldn't lift it in my shed, and so we had to drop it outside the shed. Then we had to go away and get his crane and bring the crane in and lift it in. So by the time I got it sitting where it was sitting, my $500 lathe, because I got ripped by the crane driver, he was just setting us up to give himself more work, but the whole thing cost $2,500 by the time I paid the truck with the big high-ab crane to go out there and pick it up. And I'd cleared everything in here, and he could have backed in the door and just lifted it down next to the truck, and the deal was that I would shift it to where it was now. and he wouldn't do it. And he said, no, buddy, I shouldn't be working in the truck, the truck running in the shed and all that. So we just dumped it at the front door, and I come home from work and expecting to see it in the shed, and it wasn't. So anyway, I had to have another crane lift, and it came into the shed here. So yeah, so a cheap lathe ended up a dear lathe, but it's a great old thing. It's as solid as one thing, and the times that you need it, it's well worth having. It's rotten colour though, isn't it? But in that old workshop, in the old workshop where it was, they painted every machine this bloody lime green, and I've had a look under. I've scratched a few bits of paint off it, and I think from memory it was supposed to be grey. But anyway, big old Macson. To those that wanted to have a look, that's her.